Hey, Katherine, another movie for you guys. Now, this movie reviewing, this is a movie that I really did not know much about going into it, but as you guys know, over the course of January and most of February and pretty much throughout most of this year, Netflix, has picked up a bunch of films to put onto their streaming service. There's been a very large plethora of all these films coming out one by one, and it's kind of been hard to keep track of them because they've literally been coming out every single week. And I've done what I can to keep track of them, but I really have kind of fell behind with them. I will try to watch pretty much all of them by the end of this year. I definitely will try to do that, and hopefully I can get most of them done by this month, but that's beside the point. This is one of those films that was on the streaming service, and I checked it out because I definitely was very interested in it, and that movie is none other than Imperial Dreams. Now, this, like I said, is one of those movies where I think it's a film that if Netflix hadn't had put this movie out, not many people would have known about. In fact, I had no idea this was coming out. I just knew that Netflix had a bunch of films that were coming out every month, and this happened to be one of them, and I'm very happy that I actually did watch Imperial Dreams because out of all of the Netflix films, this I think by far is going to end up being the best one. I mean, at least so far. This film, I really did love Imperial Dreams overall. It tells a very, I think, current and relevant story that I was very happy to see portrayed in a very heartbreaking but very realistic way, and I really enjoyed overall. Let's get to the plot of Imperial Dreams, which the plot of this movie is quite sad, but it's not done in a completely depressing way. We focus on this man, Bambi, who pretty much through all his life, he's grown up in an environment that is filled with gangsters and violence and just not a great place. He's in Watts, Los Angeles, and he's been in and out of prison all his life, and he's just recently returned home from prison for essentially his last time. He really doesn't want to go back there, and he wants to do whatever he can to take care of his son and basically try to adapt to a more quiet, more mundane type life because he's tired of living in this very violent atmosphere, and he really wants something, a change of scenery, but unfortunately, it's hard for him to acclimate, to the world that is so filled with violence and terror, and basically is forced to be pulled back in, and it's basically a struggle for him to connect with his son and find a way to steer him away from the gang violence. That basically is the plot of Imperial Dreams overall, but let's just get into this movie, starting off with the cast. Now, without a doubt, the one thing that I was definitely very interested in this movie, the one thing that made me really want to see it was John Boyega, who, as you guys know, right, if it hadn't been for, I think, things like Attack the Block and Star Wars, would be relatively very unknown. And what things I was very looking forward to is John Boyega, because I think he was definitely a very good actor in that. And this proves that Star Wars Force Awakens was not just a fluke. He really is a great actor, and his character, Bambi, is highly compelling. I mean, you really do care about him, and they do everything you can to try to get you to care for this, to care for this guy, because Bambi is not at all a bad guy. He just hasn't really had the greatest life, and he's kind of been forced to, participate in these very tumultuous type of events that he really doesn't want to be a part of, and he really wants to do everything he can to strive away from, but unfortunately he's forced to just be pulled back in, and it's really heartbreaking to honestly to see him go back to this really sad life, because he really doesn't want to. He means it when he says, I'm done, I'm not that kind of person anymore, but it's hard for anyone to look at me. I mean, everyone is, laughing at him and ridiculing him for this kind of thing, but he really wants to be normal. He wants to be a good person. He doesn't want to be someone who's constantly mixed up with the law, because he wants to provide a good life for his son, and you really do care about him in that sense. And I thought overall he did a really great job. I really did love what John Boyega did in this movie. Again, it really does show that what we saw in Star Wars was not all a fluke. He really is a fantastic actor, and I can't wait to see what else he ends up doing. He's got another Netflix movie coming out this month, and I'm definitely really looking forward to, and I really hope that one is just as great, because he really was great here, and I really am looking forward to seeing what else John Boyega does in the future, because he really was fantastic in this role, and you can really tell these are the kind of roles that not only I think that he really gets into, but he probably can relate to as well, because I don't know the type of environment that John Boyega grew up in, but definitely seems like something that is very relevant for the time we live in. Now, even though John Boyega is fantastic in this movie, this is in every way his movie. I will definitely say that. The problem is the rest of the characters not are I don't think are bad and they're not uninteresting. They just didn't really care about them because the movie doesn't do a ton with them. The movie is so heavily focused on Boyega's perspective and doing everything we can to see Boyega's point of view that when we cut back to some of the other characters, you just don't feel a ton from them. The only other character I really found myself connected to was Keke Palmer as I'm guessing his son's mother, who I really did like her character. She's now in prison, assumingly because of some of the same things that he did, and she's stuck there, and throughout the movie she really doesn't feel like he's going to be able to get away from this, and she's kind of laughing at his ideology as well. And I really did like her character. It's a very different role for Keke Palmer, and I really like seeing how seriously she's taking herself as an actress, because a couple of years ago I would say, oh no, Keke Palmer is a Disney actress, she's a sellout, there's really, a Nickelodeon actress, there's really not much else she can do. But she really is doing a tremendous job with really putting herself out there and really trying to give herself better roles, and she did a really great job in this movie. I really did like her character. I liked the bonding between her and Bambi. I thought overall their whole thing was very interesting. It wasn't really bonding though, and more in the sense of, these two want to do what they can to raise this son together. I liked her character here. I thought she did a very good job. The rest of the cast here I don't think was bad. I just didn't feel like their characters were nearly as developed as Keke Palmer was, and as good as Keke Palmer is, she's only in about 2 or 3 scenes in this movie, and I really did want to see more of her. I liked where they went with her character. I liked how she felt that she at points was better to take care of his son, and I just wish they could have done a little bit more with her, because I think she could have been a even more interesting character than she already was. Not that she wasn't bad, I just feel like they could have done a lot more with her, and they really did miss a couple opportunities when it came to her character. And in terms of directing here, the directing here I think is really great. The director here is Malik Vitthal, and I don't know if he's done anything else before, but he did a really great job directing this movie. What I really loved about his tone here is how really realistic it feels. I mean, this movie does not at all feel Hollywoodized at all. It feels very, very real. I've heard people compare it to Boys in the Hood, and yeah, I definitely would say that. I don't think this movie has the amount of character that this movie does, but I do think he did a very good job with just directing how bad LA really is and how crime-ridden and things like that it really is, because it's not really a great place to be. I mean, constantly there's break-ins and there's shootings, there's even, rapes, there's all kinds of things going on. He did such a great job with directing it, showing that this is the life they have to be in, and he really did a great job of that. But what I also loved about his tone, it's a very hopeful film. You're really hoping for Bambi. You're really wanting him to be able to raise his son and get away from this life. Even if it's an impossible task, you're doing what, you're really on the edge of your seat, doing whatever you can. He's really doing whatever he can to provide the best life for his son possible, and I really did love seeing that. I mean, there's some really great scenes with that here, and to add on to that, the screenplay in this movie is extremely well crafted. I really did love the writing to this film. If the writing wasn't as good, I don't think the movie would have nearly been as good. As good as John Boyega is, the writing really is the thing that makes this movie so great. Because, I mean, we've definitely seen the story before where someone's involved in crime and they're trying to get away from it, but you really do believe he's trying to get away from it. It's not one of those things where he keeps being pulled back in and he keeps being forced to do these things that he's not okay with. It's not like that. He picks up a gun in this movie, he's done. He doesn't want the gun. He doesn't want to shoot. He doesn't want to do these things. He genuinely means it when he means he wants to steer away from it. And it's not like he's annoying or unlikable. You completely understand why he doesn't want to do that. There's a great scene between him and his son where they're just trying to live this quiet life, and he's reading this book, and you really see that he is a pretty good father. He really does want to help his son, and he really does want to provide a great life for him, and I really did like the way that the movie categorized him. I thought they did an incredible job with showing how, the relationship he has with his son. I thought that was also very well done. The screenplay was just very well crafted in that regard. And I think the different characters that we met here, like I said, even though I didn't care about them because they were your typical gangsters, were still very realistically portrayed. I mean, if we thought of, when you think of gangsters in LA and the sort of stuff they're doing, this is exactly what you think of. This is exactly the way they're talking. I mean, John Boyega doesn't even really talk like them anymore. He's such an outsider in this world, and I loved seeing that. I loved how he stuck out like everyone else. He's supposed to stick out. He's supposed to feel different, and I really did love the way that was done. The way the movie would contrast the way that John Boyega speaks to his son and the way that they speak is very well done. There's a great scene where he's at this party and they start getting quite vile and just really, really vulgar. And John Boyega actually tells him to stop because he doesn't like the way they talk and he doesn't want to be a part of that life anymore. And I thought it was very interesting the way the movie contrasted that. And I thought it was definitely very well handled. Also, the cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. I mean, it's a very good looking movie. And you really do feel like you're in LA. I don't know if they actually filmed in LA, but they did a very good job with portraying LA and how crime ridden and really just how grimy of a city it really is. It's not a good place to be. I mean, LA, you think of it as this great city, but it's really not that great. And the movie does do a great job with really demonizing LA, but not trying to demonize it in a way that's unrealistic or silly. They do it in a way that feels real. That hey, LA is a good place, but there are some areas in LA that are not great to be in, and this is definitely one of them. And they did a very good job with that. I thought the score was also really great, and the editing to the movie, I definitely really did like the editing as well. The movie is only about 86 minutes, and it really flew by. I was into it almost the whole time. Thought they did a very good job with that. My only complaint with the movie is that I did feel as good as Bambi was as a character, he doesn't really go through that much of an arc in this movie. He starts the movie in the same place that he ends it, and I think it's well done, the way they definitely did do the arc for him in this movie, but the way that it starts off, he's trying to get away, and towards the end of the movie, he's still trying to get away, though I do feel the ending is fantastic. I really did love the ending. I thought it was a very well done, and it might be my favorite ending I've seen so far this year, because there haven't been many movies I've seen so far this year, obviously, but I really did love the way the ending was. It was very hard, it was very hard-hitting, it was very realistic, and it was very, very real. Like, it was very raw, too. Like, this is definitely the way that situation would go, and I really did like the way that was done here. But overall, guys, I really did enjoy Imperial Dreams as a whole. I think it's a very well done film. It's not the easiest film to get through, I definitely will say that. There are definitely some scenes that are hard to watch. It's not like a movie that's extremely hard to watch, but it is a film that, be prepared, you might shed a few tears. If you're someone who's, easily sensitive, then you probably will shed a few tears, and you'll definitely get wrapped up in the story. But it's a very compelling story that I feel definitely does need to be told today. I think it's a movie that a lot of people definitely do need to see, especially for people who live in LA or who have been in gangs before or people who have just grown up in harsh environments. This is definitely the kind of movie that you need to watch, and I definitely really enjoyed Imperial Dreams, and I am definitely going to give it a 4 to 5 or a B+. But over, guys, Mary of Imperial Dreams. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Left your thoughts on it. Please check out this movie if you haven't. I know it's a Netflix movie and that it's very unknown, but what I love about Netflix, like I said, is that they're putting out these very smaller films and putting on a very large platform that a lot of people view constantly every day, and people get to see them at any point. And if you do pass this movie, don't just bypass it. Don't bypass it. Actually look at it, think of what it is, definitely watch it because it definitely is worth watching. But that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie overall. Loved your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video. By the way, guys, if you guys are looking for my Taboo review, there's not going to be one. I've decided that because that show is so slow and I'm really not that into it, I'm probably just going to review the season when it's over. Once the season ends, then I will review, well, not the season, but the miniseries as a whole. Then I will review the last 5 episodes of Taboo. So if you guys are looking forward to that, I will do that, and I will see you guys for that. My next video will be for either 24 Legacy or Victoria. I'm not quite sure which one, but I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.